Hi, I'm Dan Camarda. Welcome to TrueBlue Market View. When you're looking at search engine optimization for your on-page or on-site search engine optimization, there are a number of factors to keep in mind. Using your list of keywords you've created after having conducted your keyword research, you're going to want to look to see what keywords you might want to create content on first. Between the search traffic that your keyword research shows, as well as how strong your online competitors are to get that content ranked, is going to play a factor in what keywords you should probably focus on initially. Whatever keyword phrase, or long tail keyword phrase you choose to create content with, you're going to want to create your content using those keywords, keyword phrases, and long tail keyword phrases as part of your title. The location and frequency of which your keyword phrase, or long tail keyword phrase appears within the content itself is also going to play a factor when it comes to how Google, Yahoo, Bing, YouTube, and other types of search engines are going to relate your content. Search engines are looking for text-based information. So in the previous example of YouTube, the text-based information that it's going to be looking at is going to be the tags, the description, and the title. The video itself, of course, is a video and typically isn't going to be containing any text information. To be clear on that, text in a video, such as the video you're watching now, isn't the same thing as just plain text that a web search engine bot is going to be able to read and crawl and index and understand. When it comes to the frequency of the use of your keyword phrase, or long tail keyword phrase, you're going to want to try to target somewhere in the range of about 2 and 5% saturation. What this means is if you have 100 words in a particular piece of content and you're looking to keyword optimize that content, then somewhere between 2 and 5 instances of your keyword, long tail keyword, or keyword phrase should appear within the content that you are creating. And also keep in mind, we're talking about plain text types of content here, not content which is put together and represented by a picture or a flash site or something of that nature. If you can't highlight it, copy it, and paste it into Notepad, then chances are a search engine isn't going to be able to read it either. When it comes to the location of your keywords, ideally, you're going to want your keyword phrase, or long tail keyword phrase to appear at least once towards the beginning of the content. This is one of the reasons to use it as your content title, or to use it within your content title. The other reason to use it within your content title is, of course, just to let a person know that, hey, this content may be of interest to you. This is what it's about. If you can, try to work in your keyword phrase, or long tail keyword phrase within the first few words, or at least the first sentence or two of your content. The higher up in your content your keywords appear, the more powerful they tend to be considered by the search engines. Another way to get the attention of a search engine is to place emphasis on your keyword phrase, or long tail keyword phrase. Using things like italics, bold, or underline are good examples of using emphasis on your keywords. Keep in mind that no matter what method you employ, you also want to be sure that your site is readable and user-friendly. So don't go over the top when you're applying some of these methods and strategies. Relevant to keywords, there's also something known as latent semantic index, or LSI. LSI keywords are really just keywords that are relevant to the topic, or the keyword or keyword phrase, or long tail keyword phrase that you're trying to target. For example, if my business were about remodeling kitchens and doing custom designs for kitchen remodels, odds are that having content about different types of kitchen countertops, different types of refrigerators, different styles of kitchen cabinetry, and things of that nature are going to be recognized by a search engine as being relevant to the overall subject of kitchen design, kitchen remodeling. When you can, and where appropriate, try to include anchor display text using your keyword phrase, or long tail keyword phrase. What this means is that it's a clickable link, but rather than just reading like http://www.truebluemarketview.com, it would actually say something like reach more customers or online marketing. Some content affords you the opportunity to include a description, whether this is a book description that you list on Amazon or a video description on YouTube, or maybe it is a description of a podcast show that you have listed on iTunes. These are opportunities to once again include keywords. You don't want to ever force it to the point of trying to include keywords at the sacrifice of whether or not the content is readable, makes sense, communicates what your content is about, and would just in general be appreciated by a typical user. Some platforms also afford you the opportunity to include tags. If your site is a WordPress blog, for example, when you create a new post, you can also include tags underneath the post message body itself. YouTube is also a place where you can include tags. Hashtags are another type of a tag, and I'm sure you have heard of what a hashtag is, or at least heard of the word hashtag before. Hashtags are used pretty commonly on Twitter and are being seen more and more frequently on locations like Facebook or Instagram or Google+. Using hashtags that are based on your keyword phrase, or long tail keyword phrase is always worth considering. The average time that a visitor spends on your site or web page also makes a difference in how well your content will end up ranking. Because a search engine provider is interested in providing the best search results it can to the users that come to them and ask for information or enter search queries, or in other words, type in various keywords, keyword phrases, and long tail keyword phrases to look for information that they're interested in. Some of the factors that the search engines are going to be looking at are going to be things like, when we send somebody to your page, do they stay on your page? Do they click to other websites on your page? Do they come back to your page? Because these types of things are going to help the search engine understand whether you found the result that the search engine gave you to be valuable. And this is one of the reasons why improving the average time on your site is going to be good for your overall business in general, and also to help you rank better in organic search engine result pages. As a content creator, you should be providing information that people want or need. In other words, information that people care about, information that they're looking for. Although there will, in some cases, be information that a customer or potential customer may not know that they need or may not yet be looking for, you really want to start with the information that you know people are likely to be looking for, and that is once again primarily rooted in keyword research. If your business or site allows for it, you should try to design different types of content which is going to encourage engagement or participation. Asking for opinions or questions can help generate comments. Providing high quality content can result in more likes and shares. If you take polls or questionnaires, it provides an opportunity for your customers to ask you what it is that they're looking for information on. It also tends to increase the average time on site, and it can also make a person feel closer to you as a person. People tend to like to do business with people rather than companies. Although that starts to breach onto another subject, it usually doesn't hurt to be involved in your online business. If you do start to get a lot of comments and questions and emails, you should really do your best to try to respond to them. Although this does get back into not maximizing your time the most efficiently, because if you're responding to an email, for example, chances are the only person that's going to see that is going to be the recipient of the email, unless you happen to create a blog post about it or create a video about it. When we respond to comments on your blog, that is stuff that can be seen by the public. And that also shows that you're actually actively involved in what it is that you're doing. By showing that you are actually involved, that tends to encourage further engagement from your audience. This also makes things like polls and questionnaires that much more effective because you get more information back typically. And when you get that information back, it can help you to better understand what it is that your customers are looking for. By then providing information that your customers are looking for, or even products or services or other resources that your customers are looking for, that gives them more reason to return to your site and more reason to navigate around your site once they get there. And this this can, of course, can increase the average time spent on your site. It also can help reduce the amount of time that you're researching or brainstorming what you should create next. You should consider using video. The advantage of video is that some people aren't really interested in reading, but they're a lot more willing to listen to a video. Other advantages are when you embed a video from, say, YouTube on your WordPress website and a person actually plays the video, the runtime of that video will oftentimes help to increase the spent time on that page where you've embedded the video, which is on your website. This in turn increases the average time spent on your site, or it can at least help increase the average time spent on your site. Creating videos for video sites such as YouTube can also help extend your reach for your business, because remember, YouTube itself is also a very large search provider. You're not going to be found on YouTube if you don't have any content there. By embedding your YouTube videos on your website, that can help increase the amount of traffic that your videos receive. And that is for more than one reason. When you get traffic to your website and you have videos embedded there, a person knows about the video, it can choose whether or not to play it. More than that though, when you embed your videos or your videos become embedded on other websites, YouTube will recognize that. And it's one of the factors which is going to tell YouTube that, hey, you know what? People are actually interested in this content. And that's one of the things that can help you get your videos ranking better. And anytime you get your message in front of somebody new, or even somebody that might have already heard of your business, that's great because you're making another impression. You're extending your reach. You're strengthening your brand. Having good internal site navigation is a very important thing when it comes to increasing the average time spent on your site. It can also help encourage return visitors. If you're looking for information on a particular topic that is important to you and you find a good resource online and you're able to easily and quickly find a lot of different information on relevant topics related to what it is that you're looking to do, odds are you're going to probably favorite that site, return to that site, recommend that site, and so forth. Having good menus and other internal linking structure is very important for this process. Some examples of internal links would be linking content together. For example, if you have a piece of content where you're talking about how to set up a website, and within the content talking about how to set up a website, you then make a reference to using one of your keywords from your keyword list that you've created after conducting keyword research to therefore create content around, and then you're illustrating the use of tags in the content, and perhaps you're showing an example of the content itself, and you may also be demonstrating how to incorporate those keywords, keyword phrases, or long tail keyword phrases into that content that you're looking to post on your WordPress website. Well, that content touches upon various other subjects. One of those subjects is going to be keyword research. So if you happen to have information on your site that talks about keyword research, you can link from your content that talks about setting up a WordPress site to the content that talks about keyword research. A good way to do this would be to use anchor display text using those keywords pointing to the relevant content on your site. So in the example of having content talking about how you set up a WordPress site, and therein you mention keyword research and your list of keywords and so forth, you could turn one of those words or one of those keyword phrases, or simply just make sure that it is there in your content, and you can turn that into anchor display text pointing to your other article that talks about how to conduct keyword research. Anchor display text is going to be a clickable link that simply reads something and points to more than likely somewhere else. So for example, I could create anchor display text somewhere that reads online marketing, or reach more customers, or how to create a YouTube video. And when you click on that link, it might actually point to http://www.truebluemarketview.com. That is what anchor display text is rather than just putting in the web address, rather than just putting in the URL, the universal resource locator, the thing that you see up in your address bar when you're surfing the internet, which, for example, google.com. It'll show up as http://www.google.com. Well, oftentimes that's not going to be enough information for a search engine to figure out what it is that it is being linked. When you have display text, and that display text represents a keyword, keyword phrase, or long tail keyword phrase that you're trying to optimize for, something that actually gets traffic no less, or if it's semantically relevant, if it's very similar or related, whatever that anchor display text is pointing to is going to have a better chance of relating to what that anchor display text is. So in other words, when the anchor display text says online marketing or reach more customers, and people go to google.com and they type in the keyword phrase online marketing or reach more customers, it's going to increase the chances that truebluemarketview.com is going to come up in the search engine result page. It's not quite that simple. You usually need quite a few links, and the value of those links are also going to come into play. The bottom line here is that using anchor display text, especially on your own website when you're linking from one piece of content to another, is a good idea rather than just putting the raw address or the URL. It's going to help users understand what's at that location, and it's also going to help the search engines understand what's at that location as well. Another factor for on-page SEO is the bounce rate. A bounce occurs when a visitor lands on your page, looks around, maybe for a second, maybe for a minute, and then they leave. They go back to Google or they type in a different web address and they have left your site. That is what a bounce is. Bounces are reflected as a percentage, hence bounce rate. So if you have 100 visitors come to your website and 10 of those visitors end up visiting 2 or more pages, but the other 90 visitors simply leave after they've looked at the page that they landed on initially and then they just take off, then you're going to have about a 90% bounce rate, because 90 out of 100 is 90%. Only those 10 visitors that visited 2 or more pages are going to reduce your bounce rate, because a bounce is anytime somebody lands on one single page and leaves. You're going to want to reduce your bounce rate, because having a lower bounce rate is one of the elements which is going to improve your chances of getting a better ranking on the search engine result page, and that is going to lead to getting more traffic. One of the ways that you can reduce your bounce rate is to encourage visitors to look at other pages on your site. A great way to do this is to have a good internal linking structure and good, intuitive, easy to understand menus and navigation. Another element to on-page SEO or on-site SEO is the average pages viewed per visit. You want to design your site to encourage multiple page views per visit. And again, one of the ways to do this is to link relevant content on your site together. Have intuitive, easy to use menus and navigation. You want to average at least 2 page views per visitor. Increasing the number of page views per visit is yet another element that suggests to a search engine that your site contains a lot of information that people are actually interested in, and this is going to help increase the odds that your content gets ranked better in the organic search engine result page. Having return visitors is still another element that the search engines will look at. The reason for this is very simple. People tend to spend more time with and return to things that they find of value. It's pretty easy to understand. Some of the ways to encourage return visitors would be to set up an email autoresponder using something like Aweber. You could set up a newsletter or other similar mechanism. By keeping in touch with hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people or more, you can inform them by email about new content, new products, new services. Give them a reason to come back to your site, or at the very least, use it as a means to not be out of sight and out of mind. You want to remind somebody that, hey, remember, we're still here. When you use content that encourages click-throughs to your site, that of course is going to result in more return visits. And having return visits is also something that's very good in the eyes of the search engines. If you have a blog, such as a WordPress blog, your website most likely already has an RSS feed. A lot of people aren't familiar with what an RSS feed is or how to use one. It wouldn't hurt to include a little bit of content that educates people on what an RSS feed is and how they can take advantage of it for themselves. Advertising your RSS feed with a simple button or a little widget or similar is often enough for people that already know what an RSS feed is, and you're just simply making the address easily available to those persons. Within your content, you can always ask visitors to favorite or bookmark your site or share your content. Anytime somebody favorites or bookmarks your site, this is again something that the search engines see, and this is another element that tells them that you more than likely have good content that people find valuable, and the search engines, based on that, will be more likely to send you more traffic. One of the ways that you can encourage return visitors is to provide a reason to return to your site. You can be a source of news. You can just simply create new content that is of value to your audience or to your customers. You can provide resources in an easy to access and locate place, which can be very handy for people. Rather than making notes themselves, they can just simply know to come to your site or a particular section of your site for a number of different resources that are of value to them. In some cases, businesses might either be in the business of entertainment, or they just may be entertaining or know how to entertain their clientele. If you happen to be able to create entertaining comment that a lot of people respond well to, that can be something that people might want to come back and check up on. Other types of ideas, of course, would be running promotions or offering discounts that are only available from your site, and there are probably a number of other things that can be done to promote return visitors. Search engines like to see that your website has an About Us portion of your site, something that identifies you as a real business in a sense. From the standpoint of the user or the surfer, if they want to know about you, you should provide that information to them. A lot of customers end up coming across content on these About Us links, which really doesn't tell them a whole lot about the company or what the products or services they offer are, or how that might help them. Your About Us should really talk from the standpoint of what's in it for me. If you're in the business of carpet cleaning, then you should probably say something along the lines of, our business such and such was founded in whatever time or date it was founded. You could list the founder's name, but before going on and on and on, you really want to go in and say, we've been in the business of cleaning carpets for over 50 years. With more experience than any of our competitors, we'll be able to take better care of your carpets than anyone else. Something along those lines. That's very weak copy. I wouldn't suggest actually using that. But the point is, if you come to a web page and you're not quite sure what it is, and you immediately see something that says About Us and you click on About Us, you're going to want to know pretty quickly what it is. Who are they? What can they do for you? Why am I still on this site? You can provide more in-depth information about the company itself, and I would suggest considering linking to that content from your top level About Us content. In other words, if it says About Us from your main website and somebody shows up on your page and clicks on About Us, it should really focus on the information that's going to be most likely to be important to the customer, such as, who are you? What do you want? How are you going to help me? Am I wasting my time? Should I leave now? If they're really interested in learning more about your company beyond that, you can create that content and you can create bios and create the entire company history if you'd like. But I would suggest linking to that content from the About Us that's really focused more on the customer. Alternatively, you could run it all together, but if it ends up being many pages worth of content, I would really think about breaking that up. Along the lines of credibility, you should really include contact information. You may or may not have a private mailing address or post office box or a physical office address. If that's the case, I would suggest going out and getting yourself a private mailing address. Either that or possibly a PO box from the United States Postal Service. That way, you can include an address on your site, include an email address, and even a phone number if there's one available. Contact forms can be a plus as well. Depending on the coding of your contact form, a search engine may or may not recognize that you actually have a contact form there, but they're oftentimes very much appreciated by people that are coming to your website and are looking to contact you. That wraps up this video, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch up with you again next time.